Okay, well, there's a first time for everything, so I guess we'll give this a try here. So this here is maybe not the best version, but it's the version that most interests me, as you've heard me talk about many times, both on sort of an aesthetic basis and just like what all the stuff does here, and tweaked it a little bit with some of the newer technology. Really with the goal of just trying to make it a bit more competitive versus what's out there right now. So to that note, we have these three reclaimers. There's probably a space for the fourth, but as I'll get into in a moment, I'm not that excited about the Urza Saga package, mainly because I just don't really like that card very much. It's obviously a completely appropriate card, but it's just not my thing per se. And so that's so the main reason for it here is this is just a card that, like I've been saying, it doesn't get reanimated against you all that effectively. And more importantly, it can hold up Bajuka Bog on turn 2 and set up all this other stuff here just to kind of move forward the rest of the game. Also, we've talked a little bit about maybe how Punishing Fire is a bit better right now, and kind of to that end, it's really that it doesn't get, once again, it doesn't get reanimated against you. If it discarded, that's obviously a good thing. It destroys a lot of the popular threats right now, pretty much anything in taxes, but most importantly against the Scamination, it does just knocks out the grief. It takes out Douthie Voidwalker, it takes out a Orcs, and like I said, it can't really be reanimated against you. And if we're playing Punishing Fire, the reason that I wanted to go with Fable is because it worked really well in testing with Jund, and it's just like a card you want as the game goes long, and the Fable is obviously quite good at that. It's very easy to win a game by just like going Fable, Fable, Fable. Is this the best build to get it out there? I'm not really sure, but we really do want to have 3 mana as quickly as possible. For that reason, we have all 5 of these here, Hierarchs. It's possible one of them should be a bird, but yeah, so we have 5 Hierarchs there. And then kind of rounding out the package, kind of like what Dukes has been saying, the Oof and the Liberator are the ones kind of worth putting in the main. And while I think like in an absolute vacuum, maybe Moloch is a bit stronger card overall than Punishing Fire, like I said, you just really don't want it reanimated against you. The game is going long, so that's why we have Excavator over, what's that other one called? Renegade Rallier, because we're not as likely going to go straight curve out and smash in the face with a broadside like I've been talking about. But if the game's going to go long here, we're going to want the Excavator kind of have that lock open. Then in the sideboard, like I said, we just don't want to be Scaminated as much as possible with stuff reanimated against us. So we got here the 4th Endurance, aka the modern day Thalia that costs 3 mana and is actually nothing like Thalia, but it's super important versus just about everything. We have actual Thalia here, a card I continue to like. There are certain places where it's really, really strong. It's tough with Punishing Fire, tough with Fable the Mirror Breaker, but there are going to be some matchups you bring it in and it's just going to do a great job. And of course, Teague here to be Green Sunned. Against slow blue piles, we've got here Choke and Minsc and Boo. Probably should just be a 3rd Choke, but Minsc and Boo is also strong there. And being in red, we have our Blast and kind of the stock 2 Force of Vigor at this point. So with that being the case, I guess let's hop into a league here and see how it goes. Okay here, so this hand here is pretty slow. It does have like a quick answer against something with a graveyard. Opponent's keeping 7 cards here, but it doesn't do anything until turn 3. Since we don't know what they're doing, I guess we have something to slow them down if they play like Saga on 1, and we have something to deal with the graveyard if they jump right into the graveyard here. So this is a really tough call. Opponent is going 2nd. I think we're going to want to be a bit more proactive this. Okay, so this hand lets us accelerate on turn 1 It's got some sort of bear to deal with the game later. We don't know if we're going to have enough creatures to use that, so I think let's bottom the Cradle because we have enough mana. Otherwise, 3 lands, 3 spells, and let's go with that. And of course, the opponent goes turn 1 Ancient Tomb, so we probably would have liked that first hand better, but let's see what they put out there. Defense grade. Okay, that probably means some sort of artifact thing, which isn't so good. Probably not going to be so bad. We might be able to survive that. All right, our opponent doesn't know what it's on. They played an Ancient Tomb. Let's try and constrict their mana here. We're just going to go ahead and blow this up here. We do have the Endurance here to handle anything that comes out of the graveyard coming later. City of Traders, Grim Monolith. Okay, Manifold Key. Manifold Key again. The One Ring. Okay, that's not so great, especially on turn 1, or rather turn 2. Okay, Lotus Petal. Okay, so constraining their mana is probably not such a great idea, especially since the City of Traders is going to go away anyway. So to that point, I want to get to Teague as quickly as, Oof as quickly as possible. So let's just go out and accelerate this turn. Okay, so they're doing One Ring things, they're untapping things, but they really need to do something this turn. Otherwise, they're totally out of luck, as I'm going to be able to at least get a Liberator out there. Actually, I take it back. I used my Green Sun Zenith already, so maybe not. Karn, that's not great. They'll probably be able to get enough mana to very quickly Lattice. There's the Lattice. Do they have enough mana to do anything with the Lattice? There's a basic forest, or swamp rather, Mystic Forge. So let's see what they find off the top. Exiles the top, goes to 16. Still looking for more mana. There's an Opal, and they are out of action. Okay, there's a Punishing Fire, so we could destroy the Karn this turn and hope that the ring becomes a problem and they don't have enough to activate the Lattice next turn. I think it's pretty unlikely we win this game. However, if we could extend it another turn or two, maybe the ring takes him out with the Oof, if we can get to that. So let's do it this way. Play Windswept Heath. We'll get a red producing land. We will cast Punishing Fire, targeting the Karn, and we're just going to smash in and attack the Karn. And unfortunately, we can't just 6 this entire turn because we don't know if they're going to do something involving the graveyard. It seems very unlikely. They seem to be constrained on mana at this time. Well, maybe not. I don't know the exact math behind the keys and Grim Monoliths, but they do have 9 cards now. And the Oof probably still wins us the game. That's why we're still on this one. They found another Mystic Forge. There's a Paradox Engine, so now this probably goes infinite. And it is, I guess we give them a chance to whiff. It seems almost impossible that that'll happen. And I am going to go ahead and 6 here because I just don't think this is a graveyard strategy. But good news, this list does have Thalia in it, and that's going to give us a ton of action against this. I think we're going to be greatly favored in the next 2 games, provided they don't win the game in the first turn. It's pretty unlikely with this list. All right, that'll do it. Okay. Oh, so now we know the win condition. All right. Good news is we are very well stocked to do this. So anything that pings and creatures and stuff like that, we don't need to worry about that too much. So let's just start moving some stuff around. I don't really think this is an endurance thing. I guess Wrapup Excavator could close out the game. We probably, Script Ranger can accelerate us by a turn. I don't know that we really want to be taking turns off to cast Fable. So that there is 8 cards. We can bring in here Teague, Force of Vigor, Thalia. That's 6 cards. All right, so let's just keep a couple of Fables in here. Actually, that is, like I said, it's not really good with our Thalia. We don't need this. Punishing Fire can give them the final points of damage. We definitely don't need Swords of Plowshares. All right, well, let's just keep a Moloch in, which can scale up as a threat, and maybe this Endurance, because it's just like any other threat. All right, so we've got Thalia, Fatigue, Force of Vigor, all this fun stuff. We should be in good shape here, hopefully. We will go first this time. All right, so we have a way to get Teague and all that, but not, we will need to find another land. We have an answer for their first thing, but if we use this here to blow up one of their lands, then we're not going to have much to go after that. I don't really care about casting the Fable. So this hand does require that we find at least 2 more mana to get to our disruption thing. So it's really how good do we feel about Force of Vigor in this case? That doesn't do anything about the One Ring. It does stop like a key and a, it does stop a key and a monolith. I still think we can do better. We have just so many good things in this list here. Okay, so this hand here, like, more reliably is going to get us to that 3 mana with the Zenith here. And we don't really care that much about Punishing Fire, so let's keep this here. We will bottom. I don't even think we need this 3rd land. And we don't want to take a turn off to cast it. I think I'm going to bottom this land here. Done. All right, so we're just going to cast the Noble, and then we can go find Oof or Teague next turn. Okay, well, they did get rid of our guy to keep us from going crazy but with our bears, but that's okay, as we just found another mana here, so we'll go ahead and Zenith for another Hierarch. There's the Monolith. Let's hope they don't have a second Dismember. There's the One Ring. I don't know why they kept Defense Grid in. I guess it does stop Force of Vigor. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna Zenith first. That way when we Lush Portico, we'll be able to actually make something meaningful out of the Surveil here. So I'm just going to, so the question is Oof or Teague. Now they already have 4 mana. On the other hand, we want to cut off their engine from getting more. I think it's going to be Oof in this case here. And once again, we just have to hope that they don't have a second. All right, now we'll play the Lush Portico with Surveil and Reclaimer. I guess this could help blow up their lands. It's a little slow. It means we can double spell next turn. I think we'll just go ahead and keep this on top and pass it on to their turn. So they cannot use any of this stuff. They do have 4 mana. There's a Saga. We should be able to Knight of the Reliquary and blow that. No, they might get 1 construct out of it. There's a Mystic Forge. Still partially helps them churn, but yeah, let's just... So we're not going to be able to kill the Punishing Fire with this thing, so let's just get some threats out there and put the damage on them, that 1 damage a turn plus whatever we're attacking with. Like I said, they'll probably be able to make at least 1 construct. Yeah, they're going to be able to make 1 construct, which is a bit of a bummer. Okay, so we probably can't attack into it for that reason. I guess what let's do here is just try and grow our knight as much as we can. So we will go ahead and pass here. Okay, they just know that we've got this down. All right, the normal gang manages to make it happen. All right, so they do have constructs. I don't know why I didn't consider that before. The question now, do we want to consider keeping in these swords for that reason? They're going to get another turn on us. They got it last time with the Dismember, but they're going to get another turn on us this time too. I'm not sure if it's worth dilute. I think maybe we'll go down to Fable just in case here, and then we can dig towards this sword just in case we need to take out some constructs. Bog is really just a tap land in this case. I don't think we care about that. Maybe we'll go with 1 more swords here. Probably don't need it, but this prevents us from getting Lava Spore boots for like 12 or something, because this strategy can really crank out a lot of artifacts, which are darn sure. Okay, so we've got here acceleration, no way to cast it. All we can do is remove a construct. This hand is absolutely no way. We are looking for something we can do. Oh boy, here's another tempting one. So we can almost certainly stop their first thing. Oh no, we do have a Grove here. So no way to cast this Thalia. Thalia is quite strong in this matchup. So I'm going to hope that we can get towards that. So we got turn 1 Reclaimer. We can blow up 1 land. And the Reclaimer can get us to a Thalia, although the other Reclaimer can help us remove the Force of Vigor. All right, we're going to keep it. I'm going to hope that the Reclaimer can find us either the white source or another way to destroy one of their lands if it comes to that. So I'm going to do that. Okay, Crystal Vein. So hopefully they go all in. Not yet. Voltaic Key. Just cast a key. Okay, that's okay. I don't think we're going to use the Wasteland on that land. We want to save that for a land they don't have to sacrifice, or the Urza Saga. Then again, we do have a Force of Vigor for the Urza Saga. So the question is, do we get on board here, or do we try and jank them out of the game? They didn't have a follow-up play. I think they're trying to bait us with that. I am going to cast the Reclaimer. All right, Inventor's Fair. Another key. Okay, so we got to decide what we're going to Force of Vigor, if anything. Oh boy. Those artifacts just aren't that meaningful. I think I'm not going to. Punishing Fire. Okay. Well, we're going to be in business there. I think we hide the Wasteland and from our opponent, and we get a white source next turn, cast Thalia, which would really meaningful slow down the opponent, which means we need to hold this all, keeps us all held up. So we're just going to pass here. There's a Mox Opal. So we could keep this Mox Opal from being turned on. If they're trying to get to 4 mana, that might be useful. It's just not clear if it's the key or the mana sources that are more important here. If we do this now, then they might just not have Metalcraft, and that might just do nothing. Plus, then we can blow up a land. It puts us in good place. All right, I think this is the shot for it. I'm going to prepare to be wrong here, but we'll find out. That way they've gotten absolutely no value out of these keys whatsoever. Okay. Yes, no value out of the keys. All right, that we might have. All right, so we're going to get a white source here. And this is one of the cool things. It looks like we can Lush Portico now and Surveil. That's pretty cool. All right, Punishing Fire, definitely put that in the graveyard. Probably wondering why it's even in this list at all, but this is where we're at. All right, so let's prevent them from accelerating here. We'll cast Thalia, which should really slow them down. And now we'll go ahead and smash in here. And there's nothing we can do this turn, so we're just going to go ahead and pass. And sure enough, they just have another land there. All right. So if we Zenith, we have 4 mana. That Zenith for a Collector Oof, that should do it. Oh, actually it does not because of the Thalia. I think we just constrain them on mana here. Yeah. And they are trying to dismember the Thalia. Okay. That's a bit of a bummer, but such is life. All right, in that case, let's just see. We can either hold out for a land here, or we could accelerate so that we have enough to get like a Teague or something next time. Now I wish I hadn't blown up that land. I think that's kind of a clever play on behalf of the opponent. Could also just threaten more damage here. I am going to just put more power and toughness on the board here. Hope that this mana constraining strategy has worked. It's worked so far. Let's go with an Ignoble so that we can be more efficient with our Punishing Fires. And we do have a decent like clock going on here. It's a 3-turn clock, actually probably a 2 if you count. All right, so now we can just put even more power on the board. And we got it. All right, we bared out our opponents. That's a good start, just the classic way that this thing works, and one of the reasons I always like playing it. And yeah, I guess let's just keep going. All right, we want a die roll. Yes, we will go first. Okay, so this is what is like tricky about this strategy ever since I started adopting the Reclaimer, is because it's like, well, what do you do first? Do you accelerate first, or do you cast the Reclaimer? I don't know the answer to that. We don't have a red source for the Fable. If we accelerate, then we could double spell the next turn, and then more likely put ourselves in position to have the red mana. I think double spelling is probably where we want to be at. I'm curious to hear experts here. Either way, I'm going to keep this hand. Then again, Scam is so popular, maybe we just want to put the Reclaimer on the board no matter what. Interestingly, this list has 3 Reclaimers, like I mentioned earlier. All right, I'm going to just do the Reclaimer for science here, so we just don't know. And we just don't want that to be scamming people. I mean, that is the primary reason it's here. I guess let's take advantage of the fact that it does that. Grindstone. Okay. Well, in this case, I probably would have liked to accelerate, but that's okay. Basic Forest. Okay. So, they're probably not going to put anything in graveyard next turn that we couldn't just get in a future turn. So the question is double spelling versus getting a red source for Fable to try and churn through. Next turn we could also Zenith for, yeah, I think that's the better play. All right, I'm going to go ahead and attack for 1 here. Yeah, because I think I'd rather use the Zenith for oof at this point. And this way, this makes them think that we might have a swords. Although they're going to have to work through those anyway. There's the bog. Well, yeah, that's kind of how it goes with this sometimes. All right. If we get the Outland Liberator, I think what I'm going to do is Zenith for Liberator because it is subject to removal, but if it lives, then it'll kind of take over the game on its own. And like again, there's really nothing to bog or anything right now, so I think that's what we're going to do. I'm a little afraid of Fury, but like I said, this kind of threatens to, and they're probably just confused by why I'm not activating these anyway, so maybe we'll just getting away with like the opponent being wondering what version of green white X that we have here. So like I said, they're not threatening to win, and I don't think there's any way they could possibly have it next turn. So I think the Liberator is our best bet here to actually take over the game in the long run. And Lightened Tutor. Okay. I feel like their hand is not that good. I'm going to go back and take a peek. 6. Okay. Painter's Servant. All right, we don't have the removal spell for that, which is not great. So they only have both, but they need 3 mana. And I have an instant speed to answer if they don't destroy. Oh, they do have the 3 mana. All right, well, sometimes you just get got. And we got. Yeah, Simian Spirit Guide plus the City of Traders. That probably explains why they kept the 6 there. All right, good news is we have a lot of tools against this here, and we're not going to reveal exactly what's going on here. Okay, so they are also probably playing Blasts. That is a little too Galaxy Brain for my tastes, but this is good. They are, in fact, slowed down by Thalia. This is not a Bowmaster's list, so that's probably okay. Other than that, we're fairly well suited for it. I actually am considering taking the Reclaimers out because we have the slow answers we need to the graveyard already. Again, I'm getting prepared to be yelled at for this, but just trying to think through it out loud. I think that Thalia slows and constrains them more, especially if they have to get to 5 mana. Endurance is probably the better choice in that particular case. I guess we keep the bog because it's fine off the Knight of the Reliquary. This is the faster version, so I'm not worried about getting ground out of the game. So I'm going to go ahead and take out the Fable of the Mirror Breakers. Yeah, I think there's just like classic game plan is probably best in this case. And if they see red, they probably just won't name blue. Again, I don't think they're trying to go long, so... All right, let's go with that. We will play first. This hand lets us blow up 2 of their lands in the next turn and send them way back. Plus we have an Endurance just in case. I guess I'm going to keep this. It's not my favorite. I would prefer a removal spell, but I don't think they're going to be able to remove our guys, or at least that doesn't seem like their primary plan. Okay. I'm going to continue to hide the red by going for Savannah turn 1. Plus, we got all these white cards here, or rather this white card. Yeah, so for Urza's Saga or whatnot, we can blow up their lands, hopefully. There's the Saga. Do they have the Grindstone or something to go with it? They have nothing. Okay, yeah, so what we can do is deploy another Hierarch and attack for 2 here, and then we'll definitely have the mana later. So let's just go ahead and blow up this Saga, put another Hierarch, and just throw a little more of a clock onto the board, and then we can attack with both of them. And then next turn we can, I just don't think there's any scenario that can threaten the win without more stuff. So, oh, Fable. I still think constraining the mana is more important. So I am going to deploy a Knight. I still think I'm going to continue to hide the red source by going for a second Savannah here. And although it does threaten holding up swords, they're just not in any position to do that. So I'm going to keep applying pressure here. Goblin Engineer. Okay. Well, we can bog that away. Or Endurance, whatever it is they find. Grindstone. Alright, so we have 5 mana. That's a lot. I think it's going to... Yeah, I think the best play here is blow up a land, constrain the mana, and deploy a Fable. I think we can wait one more turn. Yeah, because do we need to... And we can't remove it this turn. Wish we had a Zenith right now. Yeah, this is a tough call. I just don't think they're threatening it so long as we destroy a land here. And then our knight will be attacking for a huge amount the next turn. So I think that's what we're going to do here. So Wood of Foothills. I'm just going to go for the Dryad Arbor here because I don't want to find this thing. And then with Fable here, hopefully we can dig for whatever answer we need. And I just realized I don't have the mana for it anyway, so I guess we'll just deploy an Endurance. There's a Goblin Welder. Okay. And they don't have the mana or anything. I guess we'll go ahead and cast the Endurance. And there's the Bog. The second time in a row. Alright. I am going to blow up that land and cast the Fable. So let's attack in with our Endurance here. And we're going to give away that we have the red. I just don't think it's that big of a deal. And we just have a lot of power and toughness on the board. It should be very difficult for our opponent to come back. And we got it. Okay. All right. So thinking about that, based on the last game, I still think this is the plan. Most of the time, they're going to be wanting casting Enlightened Tutor. They're going to be wanting perhaps casting the Grindstone. I think the Thalia does enough that it's worth doing that, even though only one... That's a good question. I still think Thalia just disrupts more overall, and therefore I think we should keep in there versus the Fable, which is kind of slow anyway, especially when you're playing second. But they're very unlikely to blow up our guy. Yeah. I think I'm going to keep it like this. All right, we have here a Endurance to save us, a Swords to destroy their guy, a Punishing Fire to destroy their other guy, and a Force of Vigor to save us as well. So this is just a lot of answers. I think we want to go ahead and keep this one. Ancient Tomb. All right, so they are accelerating. Blood Moon. Well, we have an answer for that. And little do they know, we can actually cast a Punishing Fire and remove one of their guys. I'm just going to go ahead and play the Savannah. I don't think I want to throw away 2 cards in that when I could get a second one, especially when I can just cast Punishing Fire and remove that thing next turn. I'm just going to do that before they can put something in the graveyard and use it. This turn we're going to have to think about, do we want to destroy that or not, because we're not really doing anything right now if we don't. Which means we probably should have done it last turn. But we do have the Swords. So we probably next turn we would go cast Ignoble. We still have 1 Endurance left over after all that. And maybe we get enough to get a Collector Roof out next turn or an Outland Liberator if we get lucky. Now they probably know we have it because of that pause. But we can't cast any spells if we don't get anything on the board. Okay, yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and use it, unfortunately. So this, exile that. And we found a basic force anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered. Hilarious, but such is life. All right, let's go with the Liberator, because like I said, we have the Endurance and we have the Swords. And now we have a basic forest. Plateau, I guess? I guess that is the most consistent for mana. I feel like Taiga's the more useful one here. Again, we're kind of trying to protect ourselves here. And hopefully they have no spells to cast. They had nothing last turn. I think they were just hoping the Blood Moon would soul the game. But it did not. Oh, there's the Painter's Servant, so I guess not. Now they need 4 mana. It's not impossible that they have it. It's pretty unlikely, and we do have the endurance to... Oh, there's a second Painter's Servant. Okay, that's not great. Luckily, we can destroy both of them. Knocks Opal. Destroys the Liberator. Okay, that's not great. All right, now we're in a little bit of trouble, and perhaps we should have gone for the oof. Maybe it doesn't matter. Okay. Yeah, let's just go for the oof here. Because now removing this painter doesn't actually do what we need. And I can't remove both of them right now. And we can still save ourselves for a turn and destroy one and hope to find a removal spell for the other. And this cuts them off of colored mana, provided they don't find a mountain or something. It also cuts them off of Ancient Den. They're probably wondering what to do. All right, we got another turn. The knight is the most effective way to just close out the game. And again, we're not really holding up removal anyway. I think we want to do that because a cradle really helps us accelerate a bunch of stuff out in the next turn. So I think we're just going to go ahead and cast the knight. There's the third Painter's Servant. Okay, well, now we're really not going to win this game by removing Painter's Servants. Okay, and they're all blue. Okay, so we might just be blowing up some lands here and attempting to win with combat damage. Moloch. That's kind of fun. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. If we... I think we wait a turn and, I don't know, if we're going to remove 2 of them. That's a good question. And we can remove 1 of them, then 2 of them, and then hold up the knight. I think we'd still rather just blow up a land. All right, so here's what we're going to do. And then, yeah. All right, so here's the plan. 1, this. Moloch. Actually, no. If we sequence this differently... No, because we're not getting the cradle this turn anyway. So yeah, that's right. Just go with the middle one for no particular reason. Okay. And we have a choice. We could constrain mana, or we could blow up a saga if that happens. I think... Let's just go ahead and blow up some lands here. And next turn we can start attacking. Grindstone. All right, they can't activate it. Hopefully they don't have a dismember. And they cannot activate it. Okay. Okay, there's another land. Okay, so this turn, let's see. Let's put the Ignoble Hierarch on there. That way that Moloch can attack for 2. And then, let's see, what possibly wins them the game? They need at least 1 mana to blow up the Collector Oof. They need 3 to activate the Grindstone. The Mox Opal will be turned on if it's off, so they have 1 in place. So they could do that with another Soul Land plus... So they basically need Mountain. They can't possibly do a Mountain, so I guess they had Simian Spirit Guide, Soul Land, that would do it. Could use our last Wasteland to blow it up. They've gone through 2 Soul Lands already. I think we just still want to keep constraining. All right, let's go ahead and attack with the Moloch here. There's the mountain. So if the hand is exactly... Yeah, I don't... All right. 6 life, so they would have to block the Knight of the Reliquary no matter what, or they die. Which I think means we want to swords. That way the remaining one gets killed. Yeah. And we can just get in for more damage that way. Oh, well that's kind of fun. Yeah, we'll take that. And then they can't even block the oof. but we don't want to expose it to, yeah, I think we have to do it this way. Now if they tap this Ancient Tomb, that's it, because we can just cast Punishing Fire. All right, well, somehow we are 2-0. All right, so we are 2-0, which is a great place to be at. We got some classic Mav matchups, especially ones that like work well with this tech. We haven't seen any of the like newer stuff, but still shows that it's fun to have that tech and navigate the games. The Painter matchup is always a really fun one because of all the different lines they have, which is also true for playing Maverick. And I think it's kind of like what appeals to people about it. Okay, this hand here. All right, so we have 2 tap lands. What a bummer. Other than that, a fairly fine hand. We can't cast a Fable. I don't think this is going to work, and because we just can't cast any spells. And we somehow are going first again. All right, what a disaster. We are now 2 hands we can't cast, but that's okay. That's just what's going to happen sometimes. Okay, this we simply have to keep. We can accelerate. All right, I think we accelerate to get rid of 1 Zenith. I think the Punishing Fire is a little more flexible. So I'm gonna put the Moloch because again, I don't want that reanimated against me, and it's a really, really frustrating play when it happens. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and, so the question is, do we get the basic here? I think no, we need to keep our options open here. Also, when we're playing first, they can't really destroy our land and the creature unless they Fury it, which is pretty unlikely. So I'm gonna go for that. And I'll go ahead and get Dryad Arbor. And it was forced. Interesting. Okay. Well, maybe they're just trying to like exploit the fact that I don't have very many cards left and had to mulligan twice. It's an interesting choice. And we very well may get scammed out here. We'll find. Yep, there it is. Well, luckily the Punishing Fire doesn't really do anything. But this is the whole reason that we had the Reclaimer, the whole reason we're on Punishing Fire. I guess we'll find out what happens. And it's a good thing I bought on the Moloch, because that would have just gotten destroyed if it had been reanimated against me. All right, so it's our removal versus their extremely competitive nonsense, and we'll find out what happens. So the question is, do we reveal the Scrib Ranger versus getting it dazed? I think I would rather get dazed than get pinged down by an orc. Plus that allows for acceleration next turn, and we can maybe surprise them, you know, especially if they try and discard something else. So I'm gonna go ahead and just pass this here. I mean, there's no surprise about what we're on. We're not really like hiding anything from them. They've seen the red, they've seen the Zenith, all that stuff. The daze would be a bummer, but I mean, we're gonna have to get out of the hand anyway at this point. And I'm gonna go with a Taiga just to kind of maximize our chances here. We just deployed another land. I guess we just have to hope that it's not an Archon of Cruelty, Entomb, Reanimate left in hand. It's possible, but unlikely. And this way we can kind of ping down our life total a little bit here. Well, there's the swords. The question is, with the Grief already in play, do we use it on that? All right, well, let's attack for 1 either way. I mean, they might just have nothing. But if they do cast an Archon or a thing, I just don't think the in-play Grief. Again, for those, if anybody sees this video later, I'm really curious your opinion. I honestly don't know what to do here. I mean, we are losing the race, and we have nothing left, and we have to work through it. All right, let's do this. Let's hope they don't have the Entomb Reanimate follow-up here. All right, they are surveilling. They found a troll off. They're probably just like, okay, great. Oh, we got the Punishing Fire back. Yeah, we'll take that. Ponder. All right, yeah, we don't have our own orcs to punish that. Unfortunately, that's kind of the choice we made when we decided to play hard mode on the punishing version. But we can get in for 3 damage a turn. Well, no, that's not true. It has a reanimate. Probably. No, swamp cycling. Undercity sewers, another undercity sewers. Okay. So the opponent has nothing. I've heard about this game plan. It doesn't seem like it happens that often, but sometimes they just don't have anything. And that appears to be the case this time. All right, well, let's crash in and see if this gets dazed, because this Fable really does put us back in the game. All right, tap for red, untap this thing, return this to our hand, play this thing, tap, tap again, and there's the Fable. They didn't counter the last thing. They also saw a million cards. I don't know what's going on here. Who knows? There's a Brazen Borrower. It seems like they would want to return the Goblin Shaman to my hand. I don't... Nothing? Again? Wow. I do not know what's going on here. Okay, so that would ping down the Shaman. It's going to get pinged down anyway if they play it. So I don't think we want to lose the Shaman token. For that reason, I think I'm just going to deploy power and toughness to the board again. And I'm not going to discard anything. I know it's like not doing the value or whatnot, but it's just not really worth... it's just not worth the downside of it, unfortunately. Our guys are just super subject to this anyway. There's our treasure token. All right. Let's tap this for mana. I guess if we want to block anything, it would be a Murktide region. I don't know. Do we want to cast the Oof? I think... I mean, it just blocks. It puts power on the board. I know it turns off our treasure token, but I just don't think we care. We just got to put pressure on these guys. Wow, 5 lands and still nothing. What is going on here? Well, this is an interesting one. All right, we got a Moloch. I am just going to attack into the orcs anyway. Like I said, we have a Punishing Fire to stop one of them. I mean, it could be dazed, but they just did nothing last turn again. And they're going to come out anyway. So we just got to bait it out there so we can get the Moloch on the board or something. Maybe they'll block the Oof. Nope. They're just taking 5. Okay. I don't want that. I guess they can't read. I'm just going to cast a Moloch for 2 and put power and toughness on the board. Yeah. I guess they're hoping for a like an Archon of Cruelty or Bust. Even that, we still might be able to get in for the difference if you count the extra 2 damage from the Punishing Fire. And I would just sack the Oof in that case. Yeah, I don't know. Wow, I can't believe we won that game. I'm going to go ahead and update this thing, by the way, which I have forgotten to do. So far we are 1-0 in this match and 2-0 in the league. Okay. All right, Thalia, unfortunately, a tough one here. I'm going to bring in our... This is what all this stuff is for. Let's bring in the Endurance. This is kind of the whole reason we're playing this. Even though Scrib Rangers soloed that game, I just don't think it's actually what we want here. That's more like a finishing thing. The Oof doesn't do anything. And we can just bring in these Blasts and these Fairy Macabres to make sure that they don't reanimate anything. I'm going to go down 1 Hierarch. I don't think the game's going to go long enough to need Excavator. Fable is good specifically because it doesn't get reanimated. This also stops a Murktide Regent. I think we'll go down 1 Fable. It might be hard to get to 3 mana. Again, that was a very strange game where the opponent just had nothing. That seems really unusual to me. Unfortunately, I just don't want the Moloch reanimated against me, and I have enough for other removal spells. I think it's going to be okay. All right, let's go like that. All right, well, this is the whole reason we play this. It's that they try to scam turn 2, or we can threaten later, and we have our Reclaimer, we have our guys to accelerate, we have a Knight of the Reliquary, we have a thing to even stop the animate dead thing, so I guess let's keep this. It doesn't immediately stop it, but that's the whole reason the Reclaimer is here. That's why we're playing this. So I guess let's keep it for science that's not really that sciencey. Okay. So turn one, do nothing. That is one of the harder ones to do because like you don't want to play into daze here, but you don't want to take the turn off either, and the daze is going to be there. I almost wonder if hanging a... So next turn they could go entomb, reanimate this turn. There's nothing we can do about it. If we go hierarch, it could get pinged, but it sets up enough mana to do stuff more later. Again, this is a very hard play because this presumes that they don't do anything next turn and don't try and reanimate next turn, in which case the Reclaimer is no longer as exciting. It's still the most threatening thing to their game plan, and it's possible they don't have days or don't want to play days against us or boarded it out. I'm going to go basic forest into Reclaimer. And it's probably going to get dazed. It did not get dazed. Okay, they don't have much in the way of removal. Maybe this is the new version that has white. I don't know. But more likely they probably cycle a troll or entomb now. No, they did not. Okay, so no play on turn one and nothing really exciting to reanimate. Maybe we're going to get away with it again because the Reclaimer is a better threat in many ways than the Grief itself. And we did keep a full 7 this time. Harvester of Misery. All right, so they just removed a card. All right, so they think they're going to wipe our... All right, that's a pretty good card. It does destroy a lot of the things we have. I think the better thing to do is to... They haven't looked for another land this turn. I think I want to go blow up a land, cast a Hierarch. Let's get rid of the one that they can easily replay with Daze. And I don't care if they daze this thing here. But they just haven't done anything. Force of Will. Wow. What is going on against this opponent? No offense to this person. And all right, well, we played around the wasteland. That's something. Wow, they've got nothing. Okay. Well, I think we should try and accelerate. I mean, if they just blow up one of our Hierarchs, I don't think we really care about that. And I don't really care if the Hierarch gets dazed either. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to cast a Noble Hierarch. I'm going to play a Lush Portico. And let's see what it finds. Hopefully it's a removal spell that stays in the top that we can keep ourselves. Punishing Fire. Well, that is definitely perfect for the graveyard, and we have no way to cast it. I actually opened a Harvester of Misery in the pre-release, and boy was that an extremely effective card in a draft. All right, they're just paying it on an open, no big deal. By the way, if they reanimate the Harvester, I believe it hits all creatures. So, yeah, that work we just don't care about at all. I don't think we have a single card in this entire deck except for maybe the one remaining copy of Fable that actually says draw a card. Okay, I have been orked. No follow-up. I think they're letting me keep my land. If this Knight of the Reliquary somehow doesn't get dazed or forced, which I don't think they have dazed, given that they just cast Force of Will, that is extremely good for us because then it sets up a good situation for Endurancing the graveyard anyway. All right, I am insulated against this wasteland here. I am insulated against the Harvester of Misery. This is a very good situation for us here, provided they don't Entomb Reanimate. And we can just blow up all of their lands next turn. Nothing. Fantastic. Wow, we won the match. Somehow we are 3-0. All right, let's update our match tracker here. 3-0. And we're starting a new match here. I do not understand how we won. I mean, I understand how we won it, but like, that did not seem like the set of circumstances that that would cause us to 2-0 that very, very... I wouldn't say it's a terrible matchup, but like it's definitely a tough one. So ordinarily I usually actually chat with my opponents and I always try and say hi and stuff like that, but trying this a different way this time. So yeah, no, I'm not chatting with them this time. Sometimes they take it the wrong way and get upset or something, but like I like being social. That's what I like about this game, strangely enough. And Um, Sometimes opponents don't see it that way, especially on the online. That being said, you never know, you meet somebody cool. I think I ran into David in the practice rooms once, and Joe Dyer at least once over the years. Okay, here we are going into match 4. I guess we have gotten a little lucky today. I think I've won all 4 die rolls now, which is really, really strong. All right, so this is actually very similar to one of the hands we got earlier in the game, only this time we do have the acceleration. There's no answers, there's no removal spells, but we can always cast Endurance in a pinch. I think we're going to keep it, go ahead and accelerate. That gives us 2 really strong turn 2 plays. And just like before, we can hide the fact that we're playing red here from our opponent. Good old Zenith for 0. For everybody's favorite card they love to hate, Dryad Arbor. Sometimes I wonder if I should be boarding that thing out when playing second. it's so annoying. Basic Island, Ponder. All right, that's exactly what we want to see. So we have the opportunity to play around days here. Basic Island, not as often. They could be getting a basic just to respect what we're doing. But I think I want to bait the days with the Knight of the Reliquary here. The whole reason of accelerating is to play a 3 costing on turn 2. And I don't think we want to take a turn off. So yeah, it means, and we don't, there's no way we could get 4 lands in the grave. Yeah, that's what we're going to do here. We are going to hide the red and cast the Knight. And we were dazed. All right, that's okay. Now they've got nothing going on. So your opponent dazing their only land is not usually the worst thing in the world. And the Fable is worth so much in this game. In fact, I think the Fable might get to... oh, no, it's not going to... I take that back. It's always nice when it can get to Chapter 2 before they can Orc. But Basic Island Ponder, Daze, Basic Island, maybe it's... could be... I don't know. But this is what we're going to do. I am going to try and Fable them. Okay, Stifle. All right. I think the extra mana is better than attacking for 1 here. I'm just going to cast the Ignoble Hierarch and just get super stable mana going into this game. It's a bummer that that Fable got countered. Island Cycling. Underground Sea. Fatal Push. Okay. I'm admittedly somewhat confused about what this opponent is doing exactly, but I guess the Knight of the Reliquary is the best play here for Zenith. Yeah, they really didn't like it last time, and we still have 4 mana. It might be hard for them to remove it. We've got a Daze and a Force of Will and a Fatal Push, so maybe this will be hard for them to answer. And it did in fact work this time. Do we want to Endurance? Yes. No, we don't, because we have an Endurance in hand. Hey, Mark, how goes it? I'm doing all right here, just practicing a little narration, and somehow I am 3-0. I don't know how, but yeah. Yeah, I guess so, yeah. Yeah, well, the main reason I haven't is that I am home a lot for work right now, and I just get like burned out at the end of the day, and I just kind of don't want to be online at that point. But yeah. So, no, that's okay. Here, all right. So this opponent went through a Daze, a Force of Will, and a Fatal Push. I'm thinking constraining their mana is the best call and stopping a Murktide in the process. So that's what we're going to do here. And green probably means Uro. But I think I'm going to try and constrain what they're doing here. The stream? Yeah, I don't know. Oh, okay. That's okay. Got it, no worries. All right, so they've stifled my search off the Knight of the Reliquary. In that case, that just makes the decision easy, especially since we have 2 endurances. Okay, great. No worries. I know you're on the East Coast. Alright, so we've stopped a Murktide. Seems like they care about their mana development, which means they're probably trying to cast an Uro here, if I had to guess. But now we have the same decision as last turn. Constrain the mana or do something else. Let's start by seeing what happens if we attack with the Endurance here. Okay, if we get rid of another one of our lands, then that does put us in a bit of a tough spot. So maybe we just cast the Ooze here and then hold up Karakas or Sheoldred's Edict. That's... I think we care about the mana actually at this point. Okay, let's cut them off green here. Everybody's favorite Brainstorm. So we're a little light on mana here. I guess we could get a Cradle, which would stop them again. So far running hot in this league. They have Murderous Cutted the Knight of the Reliquary. Okay. Well, now we're in a tough spot when it comes to... I think here I want to put some pressure on the board, as this does turn this into a 2-turn clock. Because they don't know about the Punishing Fire in hand. Unfortunately, we don't have a whole lot else going on, but at this point I would throw away the Endurance just to make sure a Murktide doesn't get to the table. Wow. The hot streak continues. Okay. So this is probably some sort of bug beanstalk. I don't know that for an absolute fact, but Teague is good against that because we saw Murderous Cut. Choke is good against that. Endurance is good against that. I actually don't think Punishing Fire does hardly anything against this one here. Thalia, Blast is good against blue. Don't think we need the Collector Oof. Force of Vigor takes out the Beanstalk. Hey, it feels weird to cut the Reclaimer, but again, I just don't think that that is really what this matchup is about here. I could be wrong, but I think we want to grind them out, and we don't have the Saga plan to do that with. With Bojuka Bog, we could still get off the Knight of the Reliquary. Still 2 to cut. Moloch might not be all that important. They might only have like 1 or 2 threats, if that's the case. We have the Blasts. Maybe cut 1 Swords to Plowshares. We have all this other stuff. No. Maybe we'll cut 1 Hierarch. Okay. Okay, so this hand here, the Liberator is just okay. We can't cast either the Knight of the Reliquary or the Swords of Plowshares. So we should probably... we could accelerate, but not till the next turn. Unfortunately, I think we just want to be able to cast spells, so we're going to have to send those one back. Okay, this is much better, plus it has a choke. I'm going to keep this here. And I do want to be able to go curve out. I'm going to keep the Lush Portico to search up later. The Ramonat Excavator might be able to jank them out of the game, provided nothing else gets stopped. Basic Island. Alright, Basic Island Ponder, that is fine. Zenith versus Hierarch. Well, this is a pretty easy choice. Another Ponder. Well, that means it's at least not going to be orked. Probably Fatal Push, if I had to guess here. Yep, we see the Fatal Push. Okay. Teague. Well, Teague does stop the Beanstalk from doing anything when it comes out, and it could be a nice distraction for the Choke or the Ramonap Excavator the turn after that, which are we really more want to land. So even if they cast the Beanstalk, it would mean they would have no follow-up, and we got to get a Daze out of the hand. I think we should just use it. We'll gain opponent 1 life and see how this goes. Murderous Cut does nothing against Teague, and it keeps our stuff from getting forced too, which is kind of nice. Sheoldred's Edict. All right, so they've used an answer against it. That's fine. And they've blown up one of our lands. A second choke. Well, that's pretty solid. I think what we're going to do here, they didn't daze either the first play or the second play. Maybe they realized that Daze is not good in this matchup. So the question is, do we Zenith for a Hierarch, or do we Zenith for Dryad Arbor? I think it's a Hierarch because having white mana is going to be useful at some point, even though this does play into Daze. All right, see if we can get him. Witherbloom Command. They played a land already, so we just have to hope we get a land here. Returns Misty Rainforest. Okay, well, unfortunately we can't do anything right now. That is a huge bummer because we have 2 chokes sitting in hand. I guess is the downside to having so many 3-cost things. Land. Not a land. All right, we're passing, but we have 3 haymakers worth of what they've got here. Orcs. That is fine. Surprised they even kept it in here. Guess it pings a Hierarch and it's another removal. Well, I'm not surprised they kept it in. I mean, it does something. We just got to get not janked out, and we have 2 huge chances to do so here. 3 with the Fable. All right, there's a land. Let's hope it doesn't get stifled. We're going to go for Savannah here. And I think we ram it out next turn to get the land, because sticking the Fable is what's going to win this game most of all. Let's go for a choke. Brainstorms in response. Well, I still have 4 more lands, so this is not like a totally obliterating choke. And it's stuck. I don't even know if this pile has any way to remove it. I don't know what they blew up. Okay, the Savannah. Okay. This list has 25 lands counting the Dryad Arbor, so we're slightly more likely to find a land. All right, do we play into Daze here? Again, it's just there anyway. I guess not. Like, let's not play into Daze, and I just don't want to Dryad Arbor that bad. Yeah. I mean, everything I have is subject to being orked, so. All right, we'll gladly take the 2. I must say that, like, even in this game where the opponent's doing a little bit better than the last one, they've still gotten kind of unlucky. Like, there's no Beanstalk at all. Okay, so now we have a couple of choices here. Choke. I don't know how important a second choke is. I think the Ramanap Excavator scares the opponent the most, because again, the Fable is kind of the prize here. So I'm gonna try, actually, yeah, we have to tap the Wasteland anyway. I think I'm gonna cast a second choke here. And then we can Wooded Foothills for a Lush Portico at the end of the turn. And then we can play the Ramanap and then maybe blow up 2 of their lands. Mystic Sanctuary finds Witherbloom Command. Well, that only removes the Dryad Arbor. Well, no, that could get rid of 2 of my lands. I don't know, maybe that was the wrong call. But they do have to tap 2 lands to do it. Okay. Basic Swamp. Interesting. See if they stifle. Nope. Zenith. No, I don't think I want this. Knight of the Reliquary. They have no way to stop this thing if it sticks. Ramanap Excavator would block. Okay. I don't know how they beat this Knight of the Reliquary. Shield or Dietrich. Okay. Wow, if we lose the double choke, it's going to be... All right. Well, okay. I think I'm just going to play this to preserve my life total. Okay. Dismember. Wow. Well, I guess not. I mean, they're trying to get these orcs to go the distance here. I don't care if the swords gets dazed. And it appears that MTGO has restarted. Okay, we've got to restart the game. I blame using Parallels Desktop for those of you watching at this time. Can't remember how this works in the middle of a game. I think it just brings you back to where you were at. Oh, yeah. Just telling the opponent that the game had to restart there. All right, we'll take 1 damage here. Murktide Regent. That was kind of what I thought was coming here. Yeah, I think we just... All right. We have lost this game. I'm going to bring in the last endurance here over that Liberator, which I don't really need. And yeah. All right, we're going to go ahead and play first here. All right, so this is kind of like what we really don't want to see, which is Dryad Arbor in the opening hand. It's almost like a mulligan in and of itself. There's no acceleration here. However, there are two really good force baits here. This is a tough one to throw back because, I mean, you kind of have what you want here. Two cards that really demand to be forced. We're probably going to want to play around Daze. I hate doing this, but I'm going to keep this hand and just throw the Dryad Arbor out there. Actually, we could Lesh Portico on one. Let's do that instead. All right. Zenith. Unfortunately, the Dryad Arbor's in hand. Kind of have what we want here. I guess this could give us more things that can eat out counters and stuff. Let's just keep it on top. We can put a Hierarch out there and bait a... Okay. All right. Once again, I think I want to bait Force of Will with a Knight of the Reliquary here, and even if it gets edicted, it's really not that bad. Okay. Ruin Storm. Murderous Cut. Okay, that makes sense. Raminac Excavator. 6 cards in hand plus a Brainstorm. There's got to be a Force of Will in there. I think I'm going to save this for one more turn. I should have played the Excavator, actually. All right. Up the Beanstalk. There it is. That's what I thought was going to be here. All right, it happened. That's really good. Sheoldred's Edict. Oh, a non-token creature. Okay, that's fine. A non-token creature again. Still fine. All right, maybe that's to set up a Murktide Regent here. We do have the answer for that and the ability to dig some more, and they can't Orc. And again, okay, yeah, there's the Murktide Regent. Okay. Bummer. Okay, well, we got to find another answer. Luckily, we can dig several deep here with our Wooded Foothills and our 2 cards here. Mystic Sanctuary puts Force of Will on top. That is really frustrating. All right, so we're going to go ahead and discard 2. Yes, we're going to choose Windswept Heath and Ignoble Hierarch since we just can just play more out of the graveyard anyway. Okay, we did not find it. Let's see, did I take the Scrib Ranger out? That could block this thing. I did not take the Scrib Ranger out. The Knight of the Reliquary could be bigger than this thing and threaten. So I think that's what we're going to do. And then this here could block for a turn. Yeah. All right, so let's play the Windswept Heath. And they're just going to do it. Well, maybe. 8/8. So yeah, we can't take another hit either way. So I guess we have no choice but to cast the Endurance, which means the life total doesn't really matter, which means it's probably better just to do it this way. But he has the Force of Will in hand, so maybe there's nothing we can do about this at all. But that's probably the most likely situation. Yeah, because we know it's in hand. I think it's just going to be just not quite enough. Yeah. Bummer. Brainstorm. I thought that the Mystic Sanctuary put that... Oh, I guess we'll see. Don't really want to grow the Murktide. Yeah, just short. If there's a removal spell for the endurance, which there probably is. Yeah, dismember. That was a close one. All right, opponent's got it, and we'll move on to the final game of this league. Darn, I guess if we could play that again both times, we don't take the bait for the orc, realizing we could still block it, attack it. In the other case, maybe knowing we have the endurance in hand, we put at least 2 things that can stop it, the Script Ranger plus the endurance. That way we have 2 possible outs to it. Plus we did see 3 new cards, hoping to find either one of the 7 remaining blasts or swords left. So yeah, it's just the way it goes sometimes. All right. Oh, wrong camera. What is going on here? Oh, wrong one. Okay, sorry about that. I went to the other Discord instance so I could answer a message. And hopefully you can try and edit out some of the silence and post one of these to YouTube or something like that tomorrow or the next day. Guess we'll update the league record. 3-1. All right. Coming into the final match here. Okay. So we finally did not win the die roll, which makes sense. We're not going to win all of them. This hand here. I always feel like Storm comes in the last round. And the earliest we could Zenith for something would be our turn 3. I feel like we can reset the game twice. We could jank the opponent out of the game a couple of times. We could also stop a creature. This hand is particularly unexciting if we play against the popular Scamination build. On the other hand, it does have 3 lands and 4 pseudo spells, and we could still accelerate on 1 and then get rid of a guy. This is a tough. I guess if you think about it, we have removal, we have flexibility, and we have 2 ways to blow up lands. I guess I'm going to keep it. I'm not excited about this one super, but I'm not sure it's worth throwing back either. All right, Mox Opal. This we should be able to combat well. Our bears, our Thalia, etc. is going to be really good against this. Oof, just completely shuts it down. Actual Thoughtcast, okay. Jeweled Amulet. What is this? Add 1... oh, okay. I have never seen this card in a game. I may have seen it like when rifling through cards at one point or another, but I have never seen this card before. Puts a charge counter on it. Remove a charge counter. Add 1 mana of its last noted type. Oh, it only costs 0. Maybe that's why they're playing it. Okay. 3 Mishra's Baubles. Okay. Ugh. All right, so Dryad Arbor in hand again on turn 1. So this is really entirely around start getting to Collector Oof. I think I don't know what else to do. I think we just got to play a Windswept Heath and get the Lush Portico. There's nothing else we can do because we can't accelerate this way. All right, that makes sense. This is a 0. Maybe this is some sort of Cheerios list with like I don't know. Lotus Petal. Thoughtcast again. 3 mana, 4 mana. The One Ring. Okay, everybody's favorite. Okay, here we go. All right, so they're probably not going to do anything the rest of this turn except for replace that with itself, and we are going to, it's going to be a race to Oof or for them to stop the Oof somehow. Maybe we get lucky and it is on the top. Scavenging the Ooze. At least that's something we can cast next turn that does something. Because accelerating doesn't do anything at this point anyway. So I think I'm going to leave this on top and I'm just going to cast it next turn. Maybe this eats a force or something. Can't even actually blow up these lands to make matters worse. think here I'm just going to find a second. I think I'm going to go with a taiga. I don't think there's a whole lot gained by hiding what we are from this particular opponent. And we just have to hope that they don't win the game this turn. Or find a counterspell for our Zenith. Alright. 8 cards in hand. Lotus Petal. Urza's Bauble. What is this building up to? It doesn't seem to be adding all the same mana as the like monolith one we saw earlier in this league. I mean, it doesn't look that different than any other list I've seen, except for I've just never seen this jeweled amulet before. Thought Monitor. Okay. My guess is there probably is Force of Will on this list. That island. Emery. All right, well, we can't. So does this require it to target? Yeah, it is target. All right, so this is pretty sweet because then we can. They're still going to be able to get one more thing out. There's a Force of Will. Lava Spur Boots. Equips to Emery. Okay, that's pretty cool. Cast a Lotus. Oh, an Urza's Bauble. Oh, Lotus Petal. Doesn't cast a Bauble. Interesting. All right. Well, I think we just have to go for it here. I mean, I like our chances in this game generally because the oof is just so strong here, and they don't think they use an Urza's Bauble, so they haven't seen any of this stuff. But I think this is probably going to get Force of Willed after 3 Thought Casts and 3 Baubles. Yeah, there it is. Bummer. Okay. Well, we're going to have to hang in there. We're going to get to seriously refill. Okay, we have the answer to that. But yeah, we're just going to really have to hope we find... Oh boy. Okay. Hope that they whiff, maybe find another Zenith. They're not really threatening anything despite all this. I'm optimistic about Thalia out of the board here. Once again, I think we're just super well equipped to beat this kind of thing. Let's just see what the opponent can reveal here. I don't know that it's possible to come back from this point. They're probably just going to swarm the board and overwhelm. But who knows, maybe they don't find another One Ring. I don't know. I mean, they're down to just 20 cards left to our 48. So, you never know. One Ring again. 14 cards left. I mean, this list just doesn't have the mana to cast an Emrakul the Eon's Torn like the other one did. Okay, now they can't even tap the One Ring again, or they're just going to die. Prof's Idyllic Memory. Interesting. If you draw one, oh boy. Okay, so this, I think, probably, yeah, okay. Well, they have to, I don't know how many cards it's been drawn this turn, but I think it's like 25 or something like that. Yeah, 30. All right, they got us. Okie dokie. All right. Luckily, super well suited to play this Blast, Teague, Force of Vigor. I don't think we need to worry about choke on this opponent. Punishing Fire is slow for this here. I don't think we need Fable the Mirror Breaker to win this game. I think we just want to slow him down as much as possible. Moloch stops. Scrub Ranger, I guess that blocks a Thought Monitor. Like Zenith, yeah. Scavenging Ooze is just okay. Maybe go down 1 Endurance. Excavator is fine. Nothing super exciting. Reclaimer, actually, maybe I take those out. This in. And put the Punishing Fires back in. That way, it looks like we saw almost the entire, everything they had, and there wasn't a whole lot way of threats outside of that. So again, it's kind of weird we're taking out the Reclaimer, but this isn't the most Reclaimer optimized list. It's more like, hey, this is just like the most defensible thing to include versus the field at large. So yeah, this is a little bit less of the top end, but I just don't know that we need to grind out this opponent. We just need to lock them out of the game. Okay, this is perfect. Something to disrupt, Hierarch on 1, Zenith on turn 2, and push comes to shove, we'll be able to cast Force of Vigor probably on curve anyway, by the time it actually matters. So I'm going to keep this one. Plus we can blow up an Urza's Saga. This is pretty much what you hope for when you have these hands, when you're playing Punishing Mav. Okay, do we want to keep the Surveil possibility for 2? Does that matter? Or do we just get a Taiga anyway? Probably overthinking it. I mean, maybe, I don't think it makes any difference whatsoever. I guess I don't really want a 5th land, so let's get a Taiga. Street Wraith. What the heck? Lotus Petal. Yeah, they're just Emery. Okay. Bunch of stuff. There's the cage. Yeah, I think we just hide all this other stuff here. Yeah. I'd be surprised if they kept a hand that doesn't have some way to deal with an oof on 2, but you never know. Yeah, it does. Okay, well, we still have our Force of Vigor, which we're going to be able to cast next turn, no problem. What did they exile here? Thoughtcast. Well, Grafdigger's Cage. Okay. Well, we can stop that. Don't really care about that too much. It only stops Greenstone Zenith specifically. It doesn't really do anything else versus what we're playing here. And we can either get in for 1, or we can hold up Force of Vigor. And I think hold up Force of Vigor is the better play. 1 damage is really not that consequential. Yeah, let's do that. Another land is not what we were hoping for there. Basic Island, also not what we were hoping for. Lava Spur Boots. Okay. Not really super worried about that at this time. Probably just going to bobble their way out of this mess. No? Nothing? I am not going to use the Force of Vigor and the Lava Spur Boots, that's for sure. Jeweled Amulet. Emery Lurker the Lock. Okay. Let's see if they pay to equip. Okay, that's fine. Cast, is it a specific card? Yes, let's make them decide here. I cast that card this turn. Puts a charge counter. Okay. Alright. We want to be able to oof them out of the game. So I am going to go ahead and use this now. Okay, Prophetic Memory. Alright, that's fine. It's just going to happen anyway at some point. Alright. Dismember. That's fine as well. Totally fine. Lotus Petal. The One Ring. That's kind of a bummer. Okay. Alright, what's Lush Portico and sort of kind of Ponder? Ooh, we'll definitely leave it on top. And let's go ahead and cast our Endurance again. Just to put all the power on the battlefield. I don't really care if they... I don't really want any of those things to go back. Done. I'm not just going to target nothing. Alright. Dismembers. Okay, nothing we can do about that. So they have to go absolutely ham this turn, which seems really hard to do because they just don't have very much mana. Alright, going into the last game of the last match here. And because I've done a very bad job of updating this, I'll do it this time. Okay. Okay, let's think about this for a second. So they did show an island there. I still don't think we need the Reclaimer. I think Bog off the Night is fine. Plus all this stuff removes that stuff better. Scrib Ranger does block their guy. They don't really avoid or remove it except of Dismember. I think we could just run this back exactly the way we had it. Thalia. Well, this removes an Emery, it removes a Thought Monitor, it removes another Thought Monitor or another Emery. Thalia is kind of awkward with Punishing Fire, but it's 3 removal spells. The only way they have to win the game is these creatures. And Thalia really slows them down if they don't, and I'm going to cast it on turn 2. They might not have the Force of Will this time. I'm going to hold this for a second and make them think about it. 7 cards, kept the full 7. So what's better than this? Acceleration plus Zenith, basically. Grafdigger's Cage doesn't do anything to stop this hand. I'm going to keep it. Yeah, Thalia really slows this deck down significantly because it makes all their zeros cost infinite more. Urza's Saga. Okay. Mox Opal. Ooh, Acceleration. That is really good. Okay, so let's go. Taiga into Noble Hierarch, probably. Because that just really is so much better with the Punishing Fire to have the acceleration like that. Does kind of suck that we don't have anything to stop this Saga, but they don't yet have Metalcraft. Well, now they do. Okay. Jeweled Amulet. Yeah, maybe it's just another critical 0 for Paradox Engine. 4 left. Okay, that does make a construct. Grove. The Mawlog does scale exactly. If we could stop the first construct, I think we have to threaten the... yeah, I mean, there's no other way to do it. We definitely just cast the Thalia. Hope it doesn't get forced. Okay, it does not. And then we can Lush at the end of the turn, plus we have a Grove. The Grove might be enough to block and then construct this thing out. Okay. It's a 4/4. They're going to be really big constructs, but all we need to do is remove one of them and we're probably fine. Oh, the boots. But they don't have enough mana to boots. Yeah, they do. They can make one and boots. Well, okay. I mean, I can't cast swords anyway, so maybe Thalia was exactly the wrong thing to have in this particular situation. Ugh. Yeah. Oh boy. Okay. Well, maybe lessons will be learned here. Shoot. I totally forgot about this heuristic here. Now I can't... oh, man. Okay. Well, now it's like it has to be swords, basically. Otherwise, we're in huge trouble. Endurance. I don't think that's enough here. Another Thalia. All right. So what's the plan here? We have to block. I don't know that there's anything we can really do here. I'm going to have to block both of them. Find a swords, and then block again. I guess it's possible. Yeah. I forgot about the boots. And if they have a dismember, we're just toast here. Okay, well, I gotta blame myself for that kind of hand evaluation here. Plus, I didn't really have a plan for that Saga. Yeah, I'm just gonna throw these guys away. Emery. Well, at least we can punish from fire that. Repeal. Will they equip the boots to it to try and get something off of it? To get another... okay. I mean, maybe we get lucky and we get like a Force of Vigor off the top. So we're gonna do that. Okay. Hey, how goes it? We're just about at the end of this league here. Some mistakes were made towards the end, but I was running hot earlier. A little bit, yeah. I forgot about the boots heuristic. This list here features this card I have never seen before. And when I first saw it, I kind of underestimated my opponent. I was like, oh, this is some pile of jank or whatever, even though I was 3-1. But this is a like all-in Prof's Idyllic Memory smash in after one ringing 4 times in the same turn. So I was able to take game 2, but I just totally forgot about the boots, and therefore didn't keep a hand to deal with it because it slices basically 2 turns off. But we're in some trouble here unless I find exactly swords, Force of Vigor. If I have swords and Force of Vigor, I can, yeah. So I'm just gonna find what's the best call here. Oh, you're right. I couldn't even get both of them. So it basically has to be Force of Vigor. The other option, you're right. The other option is chump again. You're right. I think it has to be Force of Vigor no matter what. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Okay, that's not going to do it. So I could chump again and hope for the same line. It's better than nothing. And then this here, yeah. So I basically... So I play the... Yeah, the lands are indestructible. I may as well just play the Grove. All right, so let's just cast Thalia. Because then that lets me pay for the ward with the with the theoretical force of vigor. All right, so let's cast Valley. Yeah, yeah. I guess. Yeah, I'm in big trouble. Yeah, it's gonna take a bit of a miracle in this situation, uh, but that's okay. Nope, which is number 4, and I cast this guy. Oh yeah, no, I'll just fight my own Thalia. I don't even know if you can do that. Oh, an opponent controls. See, they didn't used to do it like that. They used to like, you know, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just like casting Wood Elemental or something. Yeah, and if they have a Dismember, that'll do it as well. They cast Dismember twice last game. Yeah, I got really lucky in the Scaminator matchup. Oh, they just countered. Okay. Yep. All right. They got it. So yeah, yeah, not too bad. And I think with a little tighter play in that last one, I just completely gaffed on the boots. But yeah, I can't complain too much. I guess so I am recording here, and the chance I want to slice out the silence and throw this back up, and just recapping the league briefly. So we faced. How do I find that, by the way? Click on this thing. So return to details. Is that it? Yeah. All right. So in the first round we faced another artifact list. This one, the Grim Monolith with Emrakul. That one we were able to win with Collector Oof. The second round was Painter. We were able to just do like 2012 era stuff, like just blowing up some lands and attacking with big knights. And that was the like faster Painter version with the Enlightened Tutor. And then the third one, we somehow went 2-0 versus Rescaminator. My opponent, I never like to badmouth opponents. It seemed like they didn't have anything the entire match, which was bizarre. And then it came down to the very last play on this one versus Sultai Beanstalk. And then, of course, we just saw what happened there with the other artifact list. So yeah, all in all, a fun first time out, attempting to play for the camera, and a couple of people stopped by, which is cool. And somebody even mentioned that they saw me playing just in this channel during the league. I had an opponent mention that too, so you never know. Yeah. Well, thanks for the support, and yeah, I'm gonna see if I can't do something with this. I heard there's a thing that takes out the silence, and I want to see if I can find that from one of the other content creators. But yeah, thanks for stopping by. Yeah, neither do I. Yeah, Saffron Olive used to hire a guy or somebody that did it, but I was talking to Phil Gallagher about it a while back because he had coached me, and then I mentioned that Saffron Olive was using something, and then somebody else said somebody had created a plugin for DaVinci that does it. So I don't know. Yeah, because it certainly makes them a lot more watchable. I'll say that much. But yeah, they are. Yeah. So taking a look at the list again, just as part of the wrap up here. Is there? Oh no, that's fine. Like I said, I mostly play this game because I like hanging out with people. So yeah, this is the list we played. I mentioned this a few times in the league, but the Reclaimer package is in here really just because it's like generically good and because it's specifically good against what's strong right now. It's not fully trying to leverage it, and there was definitely some interesting tension throughout the league as I genuinely didn't know whether or not to cast it or the Hierarchs on the first turn, because it's just weird. You're holding up mana, but in this case, it's really just for Bojuka Bog. Other than that, this thing is just, it helps get the colors correct. It helps find a grove. It helps blow up an opponent's land. Maybe you can find a cradle. But that's why we're just playing 3, which I guess in itself has some tension because we're not playing once and it's less likely to be in the opening hand. But it did come up a few times. Do I cast the Reclaimer on turn 1 or do I cast the Hierarch on turn 1? And then the Scrib Ranger is really just kind of for fun here. Honestly, it probably should be the last Reclaimer. And other than that, the Fable is like better than a Planeswalker if it resolves because it just creates a ridiculous amount of value And other than that, you just have your sort of classic Maverick plan, and even more classic than that if you bring in your Thalia here from the board. So I think that's going to do it here on the Mountain Time Zone. And yeah, thanks for stopping by. Yeah. All right, have a good night, and I'll see you around. See ya.